Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dennis, I just want to make a point, not a question. The Department of Housing and Urban Development operates the Housing Trust Fund, which I helped create in 2008. To build and maintain housing, and affordable housing is one of the most significant problems we have. There is $238 million currently sitting in the trust fund waiting to be allocated. This funding could build and rehab almost 2,000 housing units throughout the United States for individual disabilities, senior citizens, other vulnerable Americans. And the funding should have been allocated already. And I hope that you will commit to doing everything possible to get this funding out the door as quickly as possible. And this is not every state in the union is facing this crisis. So I would hope you would make that commitment.
Yeah, thank you. That's a program decision, but I'll work with the program and share your thoughts.
Well, I thank you, but I think this is going to be, well, hopefully within your jurisdiction, and you will do it. Mr. Johnson, the Military Lending Act was enacted in 2006. I was very much involved. It's very personal to me. I had the privilege of commanding soldiers in the 82nd, and it was appalling, frankly, to see young 18-year-olds who were essentially hustled out of a lot of money by slick traders. So one of the things we did is we put a 36% interest cap for military personnel. And in our meeting in my office, you said CFPB does not have the authority to supervise lenders with compliance. And that's, I believe, highly inaccurate. When this issue arose during the first Trump administration, you were the CFPB deputy director, and the Bureau's own legal division concluded that the law does authorize MLA supervision. And this was confirmed in a letter to me March 8th, 2019, from the acting director, Mr. Kreninger. And, Mr. Chairman, I asked you his consent to enter the letter into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you.
I just want to give all the people here time to make sure they object.
The key point here is that this is a tremendous tool in the CFP toolbox, and to say it doesn't exist is first not accurate, and second, it's really sort of undermining the families, the military families, and it's ironic to me that, you know, everyone's walking around wearing their American flag and we support the troops, yet CFPB is doing very little, not enough, frankly, to help the troops. So I would ask that you set aside these views you gave to me and work actively for MLA enforcement actions. Is that a commitment you'll make?
Absolutely, Senator. When I was at the CFPB before, we had an active MLA enforcement docket. Protecting service members is an important function of the CFPB. It's also of personal interest to myself. I have a cousin serving in the Navy. I want him and all other Americans who put on the uniform and put themselves in harm's way to be protected.
Well, I agree with that sentiment. That has not been the recent history of the CFPB, so you have to change that atmosphere and attitude dramatically, and I'll be watching closely. Ms. Warren, CNBC recently reported that the Department of Commerce unknowingly allowed Chinese-owned companies to import thousands of cutting-edge NVIDIA and AMD chips for almost a full year before closing this loophole in May. And if confirmed, will you commit to reviewing this process and tell us how Commerce let this happen? What was the loophole? And what measures you're implementing to close that loophole?
Senator, thank you for the question, and also thank you for the time for speaking with me the other day. I'm not aware of any such loophole to my knowledge. The rules that are in place should forbid such actions. But that said, if I'm confirmed, I'm absolutely going to take a close look at all the rules in place and also work closely with the export enforcement side of the House and make sure that they have everything they need to vigorously enforce those rules and everything that's on the books already.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I now recognize Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Johnson, last week I asked Acting Director Vogt if he'd like to get rid of the CFPB. He was sitting on the dais right there, and his answer was yes. President Trump has said he'd like to get rid of the CFPB, so I have a simple question. Would you like to eliminate the CFPB?
Senator, that's not my intention. The CFPB is a creature of statute. Congress has assigned to it important laws to implement and execute, and my intention is to execute the law.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. So you would agree that it's important for the CFPB to deliver monetary relief to consumers that they're entitled to under the law?
Senator, I agree that it's important for the CFPB to execute the laws under its responsibility. I have testified in the past that properly structured and properly governed, the CFPB is capable of great good. However, I think there are deficiencies in the current legislative structure, and I have advocated in the past for changes to the CFPB's authority and structure to ensure that it's better able to execute its mission.
Do you think it can do its job making sure that consumers who've gotten screwed and cheated, do you think it can do that job with an 80% cut to its enforcement staff?
Well, as I had mentioned earlier, Senator, that staffing plan is subject to litigation. The parties have stayed that litigation pending the confirmation of a director, and I would pledge to you to have an open mind to take a look at staffing levels with the agency.
You would agree that if there was an 80% cut in the enforcement authorities at the Department of Justice, that there are a lot of people who might not be getting their cases brought to ensure justice. Would you agree with that?
Sarah, it depends on the internal strategy and what other resources are available.
Okay. I would just suggest if you get rid of 80% of your enforcement staff, that should be a pretty simple answer. More people get cheated and less of them get any kind of accountability. Ms. Warren, you would agree that the Bureau of Industry and Security plays an important role in protecting our national security, would you not?
Yes, sir.
So last week, BIS announced that it was loosening restrictions on very sensitive exports to the UAE, United Arab Emirates. The rule expressly makes it easier to export these sensitive technologies to a UAE company called G42. According to press reports just yesterday, the Trump administration issued the rule over the warnings of BIS career staff, that the career staff were concerned that G42 had ties to China, creating a risk that any advanced technology exported to G42 could wind up in Chinese hands. You currently work at the Commerce Department. Are you aware of the national security concerns expressed about G42 by the career staff at BIS?
I'm not aware of any specific concerns. That said, I very much value the career staff at BIS. I've worked closely with them. And my understanding of the role that BIS did and the rule change was to recognize the close partnership that the UAE has had, especially with the recent conflict in Iran.
Well, let's talk about that closer, sometimes cozy relationship, especially with the president and the president's family. Are you aware that Sheikh Tahnoon, who's a member of the Emirati royal family, is G42's chair, and that he bought $500 million of stock in World Liberty Financial just days before